All right, going live for the first time in a long time. This is Uche Joku Sneaker Principal, and I'm about to do something that I haven't done yet. So let's go ahead and start this show.
When they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? That what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody going to clean it up.
And now he's been promoted. His job, principal.
What's going on, everybody? It's Uche Joku, and this is an impromptu live stream. It's been quite a while since our last live stream. I'll be honest with you. I can't even tell you the last time I actually went live. A lot of my most recent podcast episodes have been pre-recorded and posted. I'm still a believer in minimal editing, so what you see is literally from the intro all the way to the end is unedited. But today I was inspired. Today I was inspired because I met with a new partner whose name should remain unstated for now. This partner is going to be coming in and joining and supporting our work here at MS224 to really move us into the digital age. I'm working on establishing a space for my students to really develop skills in digital communications. I was told by a friend of mine that I needed to really think about how do I embed the things that I love, that I'm passionate about, into the school to ensure that the future of the school is grounded in something that is amazing, something that I myself can really push forward without feeling like I'm being um, dictated to on how to move the school forward, if that makes any sense. Right now, I'm actually my okay. I just had to straighten that. That's kind of annoying me for a second there. So I was straightening up the camera. So right now, um, I'm saying all this because right now I am live streaming from my office. It is after hours. I'm sitting here, and I am actually testing out the equipment, some of the equipment that I purchased for podcasting with my students, and giving them the opportunity to actually develop that particular skills, including video production and audio production, and all these other things that we're going to be doing here at the school. So it's interesting to sit here right now, but usually I'm podcasting from my office at home. I am recording content from that space, and it's set up for me. So this is one of the few times I'm actually doing something like this outside of that space. So it is a challenge, um, to sit here and wrap my mind around creating content in this fashion. Right now, I am using the Rodecaster 2, and my iPhone. So the video you're watching right now is being recorded on my Apple 15 Pro Max. And a lot of this has to do with me finding ways to show people and educators that we live in a world now where we can teach our kids how to do amazing things with the technology that's in their pocket right now. So this phone that I'm using right now to record this, I mean, outside of the mic and the actual audio interface, this is a phone that most of my kids have in their pockets. What do they use it for? They use it to make phone calls, text, watch content, and a lot of times get in trouble. They get caught up in social media gangsterism and all that nonsense. Not all of them, but a few do. And I often wonder, do they understand the power that's in their hands? The fact that they have a device that is, I mean, multitudes more powerful than anything that I even ever had as a kid, as far as a computer is concerned. They have the total sum of all knowledge sitting in their hands in the device. the phone that's in their hand. So so sitting here right now recording this, I'm just I won't lie, I'm giddy. I'm excited because I'm thinking to myself, this is something that can be done by them. As far as being able to really flex their intellectual prowess around how do I utilize um, digital content to move myself forward academically, to move myself forward professionally? How do I use this to even engage in entrepreneurship as well? So this is the beginning of something great. Like sitting here and I'm giddy, really sitting here saying, "Wow, the next phase of this process is having my students doing this." And as mentioned earlier, it's a partner that the ink is about to set to paper, and we're going to establish formalize this partnership and really getting my sixth and seventh graders engaged in content creation, and I'm envisioning my students recording recording their Socratic seminars, live streaming events, where they're setting up the equipment and they're producing content. Like I'll be honest with you, I want to have a network, that's established here at the school where there's different shows and podcasts and short films and things like that that are 100% produced by the kids, edited by the students. Things that shows that our young people, regardless of their age, once equipped with the knowledge and know-how, can create amazing things. And I've seen it. I've seen it. I've visited schools and other in spaces that are not um, they're not where I work. Like, and what I mean by that, I've gone to schools in Maine. I've visited schools in Chicago. I've visited schools in Denver, and in Miami, and I've seen things where I was just like, wow, this is so cool. Like, look at all the things they have. But then I asked myself, why is it so cool that they have these things? Why can't these things exist here in the South Bronx? Why can these things exist here in spaces that people don't believe these things can exist? So as I'm sitting here right now, this mic is going to be used by students to create content. They're going to interview each other. They're going to interview special guests. It might be me. It might be a superintendent. It might be a politician. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking from now on, anytime I have a guest in this building, they have to sit right here in front of a camera with another student and be interviewed, so we can create content and so our kids can really flex their muscles. Like, this is exciting to me. Like, in my mind, I'm like, this is something that should be happening more often. Um, and again, for those who don't know, like, you might be watching this saying, "Look, what are you talking about? This thing's already happening." Um, I'll tell you something. I took over this school 8 months and 12 days ago. May 1st was my first day. This is a school that for all intents and purposes, I was told by a lot of people that this school is just, I mean, I'll be honest with you. People would tell me this school is trash. They were saying that, the school's hopeless, the kids don't want to learn, they're really bad, the adults don't really care. They were saying, tell me all these crazy things. And thank God I'm one of those people that I don't believe what I'm told. I got to see for myself. Because again, this is my third school as a principal, and each school I go to, I'm being told these things about the kids, about the community, which often is so far away from the truth. They're just really perceptions. Like looking through a prism, and as you shift that piece of glass, things look differently as you move them around. And this is what the school was when I walked, when I came into it. It was a space of of just conflicting perceptions. But when I got to the heart of it, and I saw, no, these children, my children now, they want more. They want to learn. They want to engage the world, and no one was given the opportunity or giving them that space to really blossom. You know, and same thing with the adults. A lot of them had gone through a lot of trauma and were struggling with finding their voice. Finding their space. And there were some that, honestly, had to go, and they made that choice for themselves. But for the vast majority of the staff that are here, they are committed educators who love their students and want to see them blossom. But what happens is when you've had um, incongruence in culture and in expectations and leadership, um, things start to fray, and you have a space that looks like this. So at least looked like that, and but But over the past 8 months, we've made incredible strides. Like, our attendance is up. Our student performance in our interim assessments are up. You know, the our behavioral instances of behavior of poor behavior is actually down. So these things are things that you know. Uh, who's that? Brother Solomon. Peace, Brother Solomon. I got to say shout out to Brother Solomon, my brother out in Georgia, doing this thing, assistant principal. Um, and you're one of the people who consistently inspires me to push forward to create more content. So I gotta apologize to you, Brother Solomon. I know you were like you want to see more interviews, that you want spaces to push your thinking and learning, and it's coming. But this is the beginning of it. The fact that I'm able to sit here right now and plug in my devices and record on my phone right now, set up my podcast equipment, here remotely is incredible. And I'm saying mine as far as as the schools is concerned, because I'm taking what I do on the road, and I'm going to be bringing my students into this space as well. Because we're going to, like again, we're training them. We're training them to engage in digital communications, things of that nature. You know, but again, I digress. So this school, when I first took over the school, was a school that everybody told me like, no, this school needs to be closed down. That the kids don't want it. Like it's so far gone. But the crazy thing about it is, I was the wrong one to tell that to. Because one of the things that I am an advocate for, that I'm an advocate for proving people wrong. When people say that it cannot be done, my belief is like, okay, all right, let me show you. Especially when it comes to children. When you have children that look like me, that grew up like me, that know what it feels like to be unwanted, to be unseen, to be disrespected by the adults around them. I know what I felt like. Like whenever I hear somebody tell me those kids are bad, I'm like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? What are they, rotten fruit? Spoiled soup? Like what do you mean that they're bad? Because any child who's struggling, or whether it's academically, whether it's emotionally, whether it's psychologically, is grounded in trauma. It's grounded in trauma. But our job as leaders is to come into that space and create a safe environment for them to say, I want to be here. You know, this school suffered with attendance for a long time because the focus was really on forcing the kids to be here, making sure the kids are in school. And I disagree with that. That whole notion of forcing kids to be in school. Where are you at? You got to be in school after school. Yes, you have to be in school, but forcing it, making it like this is the like if you're not here, you're in trouble. That is complete hogwash nonsense. If you want kids to be in school, create a space that they want to be in. Create a space that they want to be in. I remember times in my childhood where, I love my family. I love my siblings. I love my parents. But there were days I remember I did not want to leave school. Like I'd be walking out of the building with teachers. Dark. It was getting dark because we were engaged in so much in the school, the clubs and journalism and playing sports, playing football and track, and there were all these things I was engaged in school, and school became a place where I was learning even outside of the traditional academic classroom. I was learning. I remember we had a new school newspaper, and and that was the first place I learned about deadlines. Truly, I mean, there were deadlines for homework and things like that, but the fact that I would have an article that was due by a certain time, that article had to be edited. Like I couldn't have misspellings and all these other things. My article had to be perfect for publishing because everybody else was going to read that. So I committed myself, making sure that I was going to embarrass myself writing a weird article about the volleyball game because I knew my class was going to read that, which made me, you know, engage in skills that in my regular classes I was taking for granted. Because in English class I was just thinking, okay, this is homework, whatever, whatever. But when I applied it in the real world, which was still on my campus on the school paper, all of a sudden everything was clicking. And when I said that to say, the school became a place for me where I was like, whoa, I could do so much more. You know, playing football in school meant that I had to be really good because our football team was something that the community respected. So I committed to it. Track and field, because my team relied on us because if we won our events, we would win overall for that track meet. I committed to it. Student government, I ran for student government. I I did my posters, I did my speech. People voted, and I lost. But however, like I put so much energy into that. All these different things, the academic decathlon, the debate team, all these things I did. Some of them I was good at, some things I was horrible at. But it was so much happening in my school that the thought of not being in school was not even an option. What are we talking about? I got responsibilities, I got commitments. And I say all this to say that my attendance was great. Kids showed up to school every single day because back then, at least my school that I went to, high school and middle school, there was so much there that a child like me could connect to intellectually, emotionally. That became and those things were so important that being in school was necessary. People were relying on me. People who cared about me, people that I loved were there. So I gotta be there. So today, and I'm not saying this every year, but at least in the space I'm usually in where we talk about poor attendance, I feel like that's been missing. That conversation on how do we create a space where this child would rather be here than be at home. I'm not saying because home is horrible, but because there's a commitment here, there's something here that they have completely put themselves into that they're refusing to not be absent. I'm sorry, they're refusing to be absent from. And you're probably wondering, like, okay, so you're saying all this, so what is it you've done in your school? So I'll tell you right now. First of all, talking about attendance, we've had 8 days in a row of above 90% attendance. You know, student engaged, student doing the work, students here. We had a couple of kids who have COVID right now, so they're working, so they have to work remotely. But you can go online and see that they're working, they're doing their work. So it's funny. I went through a back and forth with my staff as far as making sure their Google Classrooms are set up, work was online for kids, and when we finally got it done, people were still like, "Man, like the kids are not going to do it, or that's not." But I'll tell you something. Today I had kids who went on a field trip. And I might be digressing, but I had kids who went on a field trip. They just came back. They went to go visit Bronx Science, one of the elite science high schools in the country. When they came back, they were telling me about how, oh my God, it was so amazing. They saw so much things and they were inspired. One of the kids said, "Hey, I need to go get my laptop because I want to see what work I'm missing from today in Google Classroom." I was like, "Yes." She didn't say, I need, when the school over, I got to go. I want to go home. It's Friday. She said, "I went on a field trip. I'm back on campus. I need to go find my laptop so I can see what work I was missing from class today." Right now it is a little before 4, and I'm sorry, before 5, and I'm hearing kids in the hallway after school program who are laughing and doing whatever they're doing with their facilitators. I'm thinking, some of these kids have been here since 7 o'clock in the morning because we have Regents prep classes in the morning, and they're still here. You got to push them out because again, we've created a space that kids want to be. Like I was saying, for 8 days in a row now, we've had above 90, documented 90% attendance. Now, but check this out. Why? Because now we're being intentional. Our teachers are being intentional in the classroom. What we're offering kids, clubs and Regents prep in the morning, and what we do on during lunchtime clubs, our club, our making money club, all these different spaces where kids are like, if I'm not in school, I'm going to be missing out. That is what is shifting our school culture. Something as simple as we have on Mondays and Fridays we have what we call raffle mania. Raffle mania. If you're a school on Mondays and Fridays, what we're gonna do is by midday we're gonna take all the names of the kids who are in school. We're gonna pull out names randomly, two in each grade, sixth, seventh, eighth, and you're gonna be announced on the loudspeaker. You're gonna come to the principal's office, and you're gonna be given a gift card from McDonald's, right? And you're gonna get a handshake, a thank you for coming to school today, and we're gonna take a group picture, we're gonna put it on Twitter, and we're gonna on social media to say, this is what we do here. We come to school every single day, and we see you and we recognize you for doing that. You know, we've gone from having Mondays and Fridays being our worst days, typically 70% attendance, low 80% attendance, except on Mondays, to being, you know, 90% attendance. Kids saying, "Hey, Mister, I'm coming because I think I'm going to win that gift card this Monday or Friday." It's not even about the gift card; it's about the feeling of the anticipation of something awesome happening. Whether it's you win the gift card or maybe you engage in something amazing in your club or in class, those are the things. I remember last year, I spoke to some students, and they told me the thing that the thing that bothers them most about the school is that they didn't feel safe. And I asked them, like, what do you mean? They're like, there's too many fights. People always like threatening each other and social media and all this other stuff. People always threatening to jump you. Do you know this whole entire year? Yeah, we've had some incidents, but last year it just felt like everyone was on the verge of fighting. Like there was no rhyme or reason. This year we've had a couple of students, we pulled the parents in here, but what's different this year is those incidents were so isolated that it didn't shift or change the flow of the school day. The kids were still doing what they need to do. The adults were still doing what they need to do. So for that kid last year, he was like, "Man, like I struggle coming to school because I don't feel safe." This year they're safe, and if something happens that is out of the sorts, they know they can come knock on my door as their principal, go to their assistant principal, Mr. Cole, or go to the dean, Mr. Henry, or go to the other academic dean, Miss Francis, or go to one of the three guidance counselors, or go to any of their teachers or adults, or school aides, whoever it is. The secretary, the parent coordinator. There's always somebody here who's going to give you an ear and say, "How can I help you?" And I'll say this: no jokes. And if it's a child, you tell me you went to somebody, nobody was willing to help you, then that's for me to handle that. That's a non-negotiable for me. Our job's here to protect our children, to make sure we provide them with a safe space to thrive. Again, this is how you raise attendance. When a child feels safe, they feel loved, they feel protected, they feel as though somebody's paying attention, then guess what happens? I'm telling you, they're gonna be here. And if they're here, they're learning. If they're learning, they're exploring. If they're exploring, they're like, "Hey, how can I apply this?" My kids in robotics, you go in there, they're programming and they're building and they're putting things together. And I'm seeing them applying some of the skills they've learned from math, they've learned from science into the space. You're seeing their minds blossom. This is the work. And I plan to take that energy to the next level. So beyond attendance, beyond, closing the achievement gap, I also want to close the experience gap. You might be asking, what's the experience gap? A lot of our kids are stuck. All they know is what is within a 5-block radius of them. Listen, we're in the South Bronx, in New York City, across the river from the crossroads of the world, Manhattan. I have kids who literally who've told me they've never been to Manhattan. Or the first time they went to Manhattan was on a field trip like last year at this school. And this is the middle school. So elementary school all the way through, they've never been there before. There are so many institutions in this city that people fly from around the world to come and see. Kids have never been there. Again, part of changing the culture and creating a space where kids want to be. Listen, before the end of the month, we're sending all of our eighth graders to Coney Island in Brooklyn. That's deep. That's a nice, you know, drive to go out to to go out to Coney Island. But what are they going to do in Coney Island? There's this place called an aquarium. They're going to go to the aquarium over at Coney Island. And I'm excited for them because some of the kids have only, they're going to see things that they didn't even know existed. They're going to see things they've only seen on the internet. They're going to interact with life and creature and science in ways they haven't done before. Of course, you're going to go. Of course, you're going to go to you're going to come back and be like, man, my school did this, and you're going to come and you want to keep coming. We have a Broadway show coming. We're going to take a bunch of kids to a evening performance. We're going to do dinner and we're going to get dressed up. We're going to go to Broadway. Okay, we're going to see a musical. And again, what does that do? It creates a space where you're like, oh, my school does these things. My school is different. And for those kids who might not have great attendance, their friends are going to tell them, like, yo, where you at? We did this thing. Then all of a sudden that kid's gonna be like, maybe I should be at school too, because clearly there's something popping in this school that I need to be part of. And then going back to the beginning of this podcast episode, this live stream, I talked about the fact that I'm sitting here creating this episode of the Sneaker Principal podcast, sitting in my office, sitting at school, the epicenter of what's about to be amazing. Because in the near future, you're gonna be tuning in to MS224 Exploration and Discoveries website to see podcast episodes produced by children, by our children, our 11, 12, 13-year-olds, creating content, doing interviews, sharing their world through audio and video. All the things I'm saying that we're doing here, you're gonna see it from their perspective, from their lens. And again, that is the work. Those are the things that I'm excited about. Those are the things that we're going to do to move the needle. Our school logo is a panther paw. We have the Panthers, and in the four toes that exist in this paw of our logo are the letters BEST, and they stand for our core values: belief, excel, strive, and trust. And these are the seeds that we're planting in our kids. We want them to believe in themselves, to believe in what we're doing here, to believe in their school. We want them to excel in this space, give them the space to really think and breathe and grow. We want them to strive, to keep moving forward and trying things and pushing the limits of their thinking. Then, of course, we want them to trust the process. Trust that we're here for you, that we love you, and trust that everything here is happening for your benefit. So, I'm excited, y'all. There's gonna be more episodes coming, and from the Sneaker Principal podcast, but also from other content and spaces we're gonna be creating here. And the other thing too is coming soon. I'm gonna get back to my interview grind. I want to really get back to supporting school leaders and aspiring school leaders by hearing from school leaders who are doing the work, who have something to say, who could pour into you, and it's going to be amazing. So those of you who've been DMing me and sending me suggestions, I'm excited to for the work that's about to happen. Thank you so much, and please stay tuned. This year is going to be different. And I plan to really, really, really be a. I want to be a servant in making sure that my fellow leaders have access to information that I'm learning, information that I've already learned, to make sure that they're able to do the work on a high level and really create spaces that benefit our children, and where we also close the experience gap. We're going to close the achievement gap. No, we're going to do that. We're going to elevate our kids. We're going to make sure they're in good mental spaces, emotional spaces. But we also have to let them experience the world in a way they've never experienced it before, so they can be who they were created to be. So with that being said, this is Uche Njoku, Sneaker Principal. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Until next time, be well, y'all. Peace.